It's Josh and Derek in the morning.
What is this?
It's so stupid.
Hey,
What's up, everybody?
what up? What up?
Oh, you didn't give them time to answer.
Oh, sorry.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, we don't care. How was your week, Josh?
It was pretty good, man. Pretty good. I didn't put this in the notes, but I got a pretty in-depth physical done.
Really?
Yeah,
More than just coughing?
no coughing involved.
Really?
Thankfully, they do that mostly with blood tests nowadays. They don't actually have to.
Turn your head and cough?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about. Oh, yeah. I was thinking about the.
Oh,
They don't do that anymore.
okay.
Or they typically don't.
Yeah.
Digital exams is what that's called. They don't do a digital because these are your digits. They don't stick their digits anywhere.
That's good.
Inside you.
That's good.
Typically. But so had the physical done. It's really in depth. They did a bunch of blood work. They ultrasounded me pretty much from here all the way to my newt sack. All up on my newts.
Are you
It was
healthy?
a weird experience.
Was there a reason for this?
No, this is they've started doing it as a service for us at the
Fire station?
yeah. So and then I did a stress test, which was really interesting. I thought like, man, this is gonna be bad. Like they're gonna be like, "Are you sure you're okay to work?" But stress test was fine. Everything was great. My grip strength was off the charts. So I have yet to meet someone whose grip strength at the fire department was higher than mine. I was at 140 pounds.
Did you ever know Chris Spada?
Yeah.
Dude had insane grip strength.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, insane.
Yeah. He was really good at playing guitar. He was in From the Lion's Head.
Yeah. He was in the auxiliary with us.
Okay. Yeah. Good dude.
Yep. Good dude.
But yeah, 140 on the 140 pounds.
That's awesome.
Is coming to crush you with this hand right
I'm
here.
scared.
16.6% body fat. Not bad.
So on the grip strength, you would think you could probably squeeze anybody's hand and it would hurt.
Maybe.
I'm going to teach you a trick real quick.
Gosh.
I'm going to move this out of the way. Shake my hand and try to squeeze it as hard as you can. As hard as you can. Come on, give me a little something.
Well, stop putting your fingers over there.
That's how you do it. I learned that in the car business. If somebody's going to shake your hand, put two fingers right there on their
So then they
on their
can't.
wrist. If you're not watching it on YouTube, you
Yeah.
take your index finger and your middle finger
The ones that the doctor sticks up your butt.
and you stick it on the arm of the guy you're shaking the hand with.
Because then they can't get back here.
Because then that gives him, all you can do then is squeeze with your pinky, your ring finger, and your thumb, and you have no grip strength there. It's a little trick I learned.
Okay.
You can thank me later.
Thank you, Derek.
So that when you're going to meet your girlfriend's dad for the first time,
Yeah.
he can't make you feel like a little man.
I don't have a girlfriend,
That's good.
so
That's good.
I don't know about what you do with your personal time, but
Well, my girlfriend and my wife are the same person, so it's okay.
Okay. But yeah, grip strength was good. All that stuff was good. Got some weird levels in my blood stuff, but that's been like I've had that for a while. So it's almost like the doctors have been like, maybe this is just normal for you, and so, yeah,
That's awesome.
a little bit of low T.
I'm glad you're healthy. Low T.
Low T.
I think that's everybody though. As you get into your 30s, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
I should probably get mine checked.
Mine's on par with a 50-year-old.
Oh, dang. Well,
Yay!
yay! But they can fix that though, right?
Yeah.
Take some
Yeah.
meds.
We're gonna well, there's some things that you can do without medicine too.
Oh, cool.
that I'm gonna
Like diet and exercise stuff.
yeah, which I probably won't do.
Yeah, no.
A big thing is sleep, getting enough sleep, which
So Danielle showed me a TikTok the other day that was talking about how women need, I think she said 8 to 10 hours of sleep a day, and men are like 6 to 8 were good.
yeah.
And it was because it was talking about how like hormones in the male body versus the female body, like the testicles are what create some of the hormones, I guess, for men. And so like they're always working. Whereas with the female body, whatever generates the estrogen and whatever other hormones there are, that operates at peak efficiency when the brain is in sleep.
Shut off.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's why women need more sleep than men. Interesting.
Yeah.
I probably butchered that, but
it's probably not even right.
No,
there wasn't even a TikTok.
Yeah, there wasn't.
You just heard some guy yell it as you were driving down the road. He was on the street just going, "Men need less sleep because we got testicles."
Balls.
But yeah, so that was, we pretty good health overall, I think.
Well,
even though I don't feel that way, but it is what it is.
I have been really thinking, like, I've never been one on New Year's resolutions because I know that I'm going to make it a week, maybe a month.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to quit. But this year I've been thinking about, like, I need to make some changes in my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mostly when it comes to health, eating, exercising. So I think I've been doing a little bit of research on what I want to do, but I think come the first of the year, I'm not going to do a New Year's resolution, but I am going to try to make some lifestyle changes.
Okay.
To where I'm eating better.
You know what you should do?
Be more active. What? Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. Shout out Cobra Jiu-jitsu.
I just know too many people who have broken too many things.
just don't. Okay.
You're one of them.
Here's the deal though. Okay. You know when that stuff's about to happen. And it's almost like a conscious decision that's like, I think I can get out of this. Or like, I think I can muscle through this. Mm-hmm. If you don't get to that point, then it's probably not going to happen.
Okay.
Like every time that I've been injured, it's like, okay, I could tap right now, but like, I think I think I got a little bit more, and then I don't.
Yeah. I don't know. My brother like cracked a rib or something.
Yeah.
Because like some dude slammed him down.
Well, you know, I got mats now. You can just do it here.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm down. Anyways, you were talking. Sorry.
What was I talking about? Oh, no, I was just saying I want to eat healthy.
Okay.
I just want to make better choices.
Yeah.
Around the I'm going to let the holidays, I'm going to let myself keep going, eating all the good food. But then first of the year, I got to make some changes.
Yeah.
Just to
the fast will help.
Yeah.
You can jumpstart it with that.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, they said that I also need to do more of that. And I was like, well, I exercise like 4 hours a week. Like, is it like more than that? And they're like, oh.
I don't exercise 4 hours a year.
Yeah, well,
So
I try to. I mean, like jiu-jitsu, it's an hour plus a day. You know, it can be 45 minutes or it can be an hour and a half. But
how much of that are you actually rolling?
I would say 30 to 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because typically we do 5-minute rounds, and I'll try to go at least like 5 or 6 rounds worth of 5-minute rounds.
Is that, are you going with the same person every?
Okay. You swap it up every time you're going with somebody else.
Okay.
Unless you just want to like, I mean, if you came one day, I would probably be like, hey, let's just either just me and you, or like I would find a guy who I know would be like, not comparable, but like has a little less experience, and like you would be able to like be with that person, and then I would even probably just like stay back the whole time, like with you, and then just kind of like talk you through some stuff, or like see something in a role that you're doing, and I'd be like, okay, let's like next time do this, or like when you get in that situation, this is the way to get out of it, or whatever. Like,
Cool.
So
I like it.
yeah. We also went to Christmas on the River this weekend. Where shout out Panola.
Is that your cup too?
Yeah, Panola brand. He's got a little clothing company that he's starting up, and I saw his stuff, and I was like, it's not, I like the way that it looks.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's real simple. Everything's real simple, real clean, real crisp. And so I really like the camo pattern on the hat.
Let's say established 2015.
Oh,
That's cool.
yeah. He's been doing it a while then.
Yeah.
But just like a little hunting brand. The name of the place that he's from is Panola. I think it's in Greene County.
Okay.
Maybe not, but it's somewhere around Demopolis in that area. But yeah, shout out Panola brand. Go check them out on Instagram. Buy some stuff.
For sure.
Hat's really cool. I really like the hat. My wife got a shirt. She really likes it. So
Nice.
yeah.
I got a couple other shout outs to give, but first, one that I didn't write down is shout out to the Demopolis campus of Church of the Highlands that is now
Are they officially
a campus.
have they announced it yet?
They announced it to the campus this past Sunday.
Okay. Nice.
They haven't announced it to the whole church yet.
Yeah.
They want to announce it to them first. But
Man.
they've got a basically what is a campus pastor now, and then my buddy Cody Mordecai, his wife Mari is the children's director down there now.
Nice.
So
Did have they announced who the pastor is down there?
they have. I don't remember his name though.
Okay.
So I'm
Cool.
failing there,
Yeah.
but I know you got a lot of folks down in DMOP.
Yeah, that's
Check
awesome.
it out.
I actually know of a specific couple who they were in Birmingham and moved back to Demopolis. I grew up with this guy. We went to church. Me and him have talked a couple of times. He's been up to the Tuscaloosa campus for like small group training and stuff like that. And they actually said one of their hesitations with moving back was not having a church down there because they went to Highlands in Birmingham, and then they got down there and found out about the small group, and they started going. And he's been very much like, I think this, like, God brought me back specifically for
This
this.
campus, that's awesome.
So I'm really thankful for that, and I know Demopolis needs it. There's not a ton of churches down there that I would go to if I was there. So yeah,
That's
really,
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also shout out Jason Taylor. He's a longtime listener of the podcast, and if we've ever been like, hey, everybody tell us your thoughts or your opinions about
He
this,
does it?
he always does it.
Awesome.
And so we were in his top 5 on Spotify
Let's go.
for the year. So
Jason.
shout out Jason, man.
What's up? We need to have Jason on the podcast.
We do. He's in Louisiana.
Okay.
So
We'll figure
if
out a
he's
way to do
ever up
that.
here, yeah.
Well, we can figure out a way to do it virtually.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Jason. I got 2 other shout outs to give. I guess we're just doing shout outs today. No, a friend of mine, Lane Pennington from church. Shout out Lane. Awesome dude. Huge Braves fan.
Yeah.
He's been listening to the podcast going back, and he was like, hey, man, I've been listening to your podcast, and I was trying to find a Mammoth clothing hat. He's like, I wanted to buy a Mammoth clothing hat because I heard y'all talking about it, and it looks really cool, and I think he's seen me wearing some of the stuff. And I was like, I went online to find it, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
funny story. So Lane,
Scrub from the internet.
Josh has graciously agreed we're going to get you a Mammoth clothing
Yeah,
hat.
for sure. For
So
sure.
thanks for listening. Bud.
I can't
Appreciate it.
legally sell them anymore, so
Yeah.
might as well give them away.
So you may as well give them away. Awesome. And then I want to do, and maybe we can start doing this like maybe once a week or whatever. I want to start shouting out a local business.
Okay.
Maybe somebody that listens to the podcast that owns a local business.
Yeah.
So you just did one. I've got one too.
Okay.
I've got a buddy, Chris Mason, who also listens to the podcast. Shout out Chris. He's been, he owns a company called Mosquito Authority.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now Pest Authority too. But I've been using Chris through Mosquito Authority for, 4 years now, 5 years, something like
Yeah.
that. And we used to have, at our first house, we had a really bad problem with mosquitoes. As soon as I started getting him to come spray, like 0 mosquitoes.
Really?
We don't have a problem with it at all.
That's awesome.
And I hate mosquitoes because
Yeah.
if there's a mosquito in a 1 mile radius, it's going to come find me
Yeah.
and bite me. And it's going to like bite me on my cheek, and it's going to swell up real big like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So thanks to Chris, if they spray and then you find a mosquito or you get a mosquito later, they'll come back out and spray again.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, because there's been another hatch usually.
Really.
Yeah.
Well, he does great work. Actually, a lot of firefighters work for him too.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
guys.
I was about to say I know a couple of guys that work for him. I think I've had them come out and spray one time at my house, maybe twice. But it was it's hard at my house because I don't know if you know this, but my next door neighbor outside, they have like a pond in their backyard. And so that's just like a breeding ground.
Yeah, it is.
I've thought about throwing a couple of like mosquito dunks over the fence and just like hoping that takes care of it.
It's like basketball dunks.
Yeah. Well, you never seen a mosquito? It's a little cartridge about this big, and you put it in some water. And when you put it in some water, it activates, and then it kills all the mosquitoes around.
Huh. Never heard of that.
Mosquito dunks.
Mosquito dunks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Speaking of being sick of stuff, have you ever played virtual reality?
I have not.
You haven't. Okay. We need
Well-
to change that.
So You know how when like back in college days, if you had a bad night on with like a particular beverage, it's hard to go back and drink that beverage again.
No clue.
I see now that you have sickness written beside there.
Yeah.
I will get so motion sick if I put on a VR headset.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Do you know why?
I think it's like sinus stuff in here. No? Why?
So there was a study that came out that they did a bunch of research on this. VR hasn't been a thing until recently. But over time, our bodies have, evolved to a point that when it has this specific sickness or specific thing that enters the body, your brain is like, we got to get it out. So we need to throw up.
Right.
Your brain thinks you're tripping on mushrooms. And so it wants you to throw up so that the mushrooms will get out of your body.
That's a weird theory.
Well,
so mine was, I have done it before. This was when the Google Glass thing came out.
okay. Yeah.
Or Google Cardboard, maybe it was what it was.
Oh, yeah. You put your phone inside of it.
You put your phone inside of it, yeah. And there was this thing where like you could look around and it was in like the middle of a duck pond and there were like birds flying everywhere. It was nothing.
Yeah.
But I was moving my head around like that. If I'm in a car and I'm not driving, I will get car sick. Unless Danielle bought me these motion sickness glasses that I look like a pure
they've got the
goober.
water in the bottom of them?
Yeah, and it's like circles on the sides and on the front, and I look like a complete moron wearing them, but I don't get car sick.
Really?
They're awesome. So I'm anxious to try that. Caden's asked for a virtual reality headset for Christmas. So
I've got PlayStation VR.
okay,
Yeah.
he wanted the Oculus.
Yeah. That's that's a pretty good one. That's like the walking dog, I think.
Is it?
As far as like VR stuff goes. The PlayStation one is just kind of like an ancillary item
Gotcha.
for the PlayStation.
Well,
But yeah, so if he starts getting motion sick, it's because his body thinks he's tripping on mushrooms. And so they're like, we need to throw up so we can get these mushrooms out.
I didn't say he was going to get one. I just said he asked for one.
Yeah, he
Them things
asked
are
for
like
it, yeah.
$500.
Well, Jason, man, it's weird. You go throughout the whole year and your kid doesn't say anything about what they want for Christmas. And then like you get them all the stuff that you think that they want for Christmas. And then they go see Santa one time and they're like, hey, this obscure thing
everything
that I've never said anything ever about. And so now you've got to find that thing, even though it probably doesn't exist. Jason wants a Tesla Model 3 diecast with Tesla toy chargers. So he wants a little charger, like a supercharger that goes with it. And I was like, what?
That's why you don't do Santa right there.
That's why you don't do Santa.
That's it.
But yeah, shout out the Nook. They had Santa the other day, and so I got to find
Saw
out what he wanted.
Cool.
Cheese Louise is there. Speaking of tripping, have you seen this stuff? It's Chat GBT.
No.
So let me make sure it's GBT and not. I didn't hear it wrong. Okay, so it's OpenAI Chat GPT. So OpenAI is this company that has started doing AI for like really specific topics and stuff like that. Well, they released this chat bot the other day that is kind of freaking everybody out because before today, and like you can actually go online and download this or like sign up for an account and like type in this chat bot and like it'll give you these weird responses and stuff. But it's like, I mean, you could essentially say, write me a high school essay on To Kill a Mockingbird. And this thing with very, very real, like it makes sense. Everything is like sufficient information. It's not like when you ask Siri to do something and they're like, I didn't understand what you meant by that. It's like, I got you, bro. And then it literally types out like a full college essay.
Where was that when I was in school?
Well, and here's normally you're like, hey, what's your favorite color or whatever? And it's like, I can't give you that or like whatever. But like this thing is like actually machine learning and there's millions of people who are downloading it. And so it's actually getting a look into the stream of consciousness for a lot of people too. Because it's out of all these queries that you're sending it, it's learning off of all these queries. And somebody the other day was like, well, I typed it out, create a meal plan for a family of 4 for picky eaters. And then it typed out this meal plan. And then it was like, okay, make that in a table format, actually. And so it put it in a table format. And then it was like, create a shopping list. And then it created the shopping list. This other guy was like, hey, create a short story about a frog who falls in love with a rabbit. And it like wrote out like a concise story.
What?
That made sense. It had a beginning, a middle, and end, everything. And so now you're looking at that. And somebody said, this is the end of the information age, because it used to be you knew information, so you could charge for that information that you knew.
Right.
But now there's going to be this chat bot that has all the information. So like you could say, write me up an agreement for a business transaction with, and somebody did this with this percentage of this partner, voting rights, all that stuff. And then it will create a legal document for you.
Wow.
So there goes lawyers to an extent. Because if it's good enough, then I can just go, hey, write me an LLC. What are they? Not a title agreement.
Like business formation,
operating agreement, whatever.
Okay.
Right. Type me up that.
Yeah.
And then it goes, here you go. And then like in high school, the same thing can happen. Hey, write me an essay about whatever of mice and men. Cause it's not I guess it would be considered plagiarism.
It was absolutely plagiarism because it's not your work. Even if it's the AI's work, it's still not your work.
How can you trace it back to the AI?
It's still plagiarism.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But how can you trace it back to the AI?
I don't guess you can.
You can't.
But that's awesome. But I also wonder, like, when it comes, I don't think it would ever replace an attorney, mainly because of a liability issue there. Because what if the AI screws something up?
Yeah.
And then, like, who do you go after for that to make it right? Like, if you've got an attorney looking over it, you can go to the attorney to get it made right.
Yeah.
That's interesting though. That's crazy. I've seen some of those, like, people have been posting these AI pictures on Facebook
those,
where they like, I don't know if you like upload your picture and it like creates other images or whatever.
I think so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the chat GPT thing, like I said, it's by.
So is that free?
Yeah, it's free. OpenAI is the name of the organization that's doing it. And they, so what it says is, an AI chatbot system called ChatGPT generating pre-training is used online to simulate automated customer service chat. This is a significant setup though, as there are many possible answers. So, like, I guess they created this for customer service bots. Like when you go on a website and you type in like, hey, I'm having an issue with this, then they can give you a response back. But there's a lot of people who are pretty in depth into that, like computer learning and AI and all that stuff. And they're the ones that I've seen talking about it. And they're like, this is ridiculous. We've never had anything like this before. And it's kind of scary. So
I'm creating an account right now.
Go for it.
I want to see what it does.
Yeah. I wonder if it can, I was about to say, I wonder if it could do the movie game, but it already has the information though. So it already knows what all the movies are scored.
So I can tell it to pick me the best.
I guess so. But yeah, so it's really interesting because there's going to be a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, essentially you can ask it any question and it should generate like a pretty decent response. And so there's going to be this shift from, well, I don't need to go ask like the opinion of XYZ because like I can just tap it in a chat bot and then
That's crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy, have you seen the documentary The Work?
I have not.
Okay. So the only reason I know about it is based on a book recommendation from you,
Okay.
which was The Intentional Father. Mm-hmm. And me and a couple of guys are going through it right now. Shout out those guys. But we're going through it, and one of after the second chapter, he says, you need to do a 24-hour fast, and then you need to watch the Work documentary. And the reason that he wants you to watch the Work is because he wants you to realize how important the next couple of chapters are, like what's at stake, essentially. And it's this documentary about, and there's no talking heads. There's no like, they sit down at the end of the day and they're like, today I learned, or like, how did that make you feel, or anything like that. What it is an intensive group therapy session that's done inside of Folsom Prison.
Okay.
And so they bring in these people from the outside, and then, yep, that's the one.
Okay.
And then they have these people that are inside the prison who come too. And it's this big intensive, like, we're going to figure some stuff out as men. We're going to like work through situations and problems and stuff. And you see these guys from the outside for sure coming in with, like, I wouldn't say an expectation, but they're all very hesitant. Mm-hmm. And you would think, based on the description of that like, oh, these guys from the outside are going to come in and they're going to help these guys on the inside. These guys from the outside world, they're going to come help these guys. And like the amount of like breakthrough that happens in these men who are from the out, like the documentary essentially is about the guys from the outside getting broken. And like,
so they went in trying to help.
Not necessarily trying to help those. Everybody's there to have this like shared experience, and they're all there to work through their problems and their issues. And it's, but man, I like, there's very few movies and very few documentaries that have actually made me like cry. Restrepo was one of them. And
Never even heard of that.
It is about the Korengal Valley. It's these, I think they're Marines in the Korengal Valley who is in Afghanistan. It's like right at the edge of where like we had like some sort of control. And so like they're getting mortar strikes every day. They're going out and they're doing patrols every day, and they're really like pushing. And they end up losing some guys, and like seeing these guys that you've watched throughout this documentary who are like these big BAs, like real burly, like masculine men, break down because their buddy just died beside them.
Right.
That got me there.
Sure.
And then in this, just like watching these grown men and some like very hardened individuals start breaking down crying because they realize some things from their past.
Yeah.
That like some things from their father, or some things that like,
That's cool.
It was intense, man.
Yeah.
It was very intense.
There's a lot. Have you been through a freedom group?
Yeah.
In church? There's a lot of that. It sounds like helping. Like when I went through freedom, I realized that I had baggage and stuff that I didn't even know I had.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That sounds like very similar to that.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
very, very similar, except they're in prison with convicted killers.
A little bit different. It's
Yeah.
totally the same, except totally different.
Totally the same. But I felt a lot of like with you, I felt a lot of like similarities between that and Freedom Group. And there was some stuff that was kind of hokey about what they were doing, but then there was also some stuff that like I was like, this seems a little over the top and like a little weird, but like at the end of it, I wasn't left with that feeling after they did it, because like these men had legitimate breakthroughs in their lilives because of some of the stuff that they were doing. And so
That's cool.
for sure, everybody go check out The Work.
Yeah.
Don't watch it with your family because there's a lot of F-bombs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, his dude's in prison.
Yeah,
So,
sure. I'll have to check that out.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Speaking of prison,
guess who's out of prison now?
Twitter prison or regular prison?
Regular. Well, Russian prison.
Oh, Russian prison.
Russian prison. So obviously the news broke a couple of days ago now of the Biden administration has worked out a deal with Vladimir Putin to release Brittany Griner, she's a WNBA player.
Oh, so I wouldn't have heard about her before.
No, you wouldn't have, because nobody ever has. But obviously she's been in, she went over there for, I guess it was the Olympics or something. I don't know. Anyway, she smuggled some weed in or some kind of pot and got arrested, got thrown in prison. And she's basically been a political tool for Vladimir Putin since then. But
is weed illegal over there?
I guess so.
Well, I mean, you broke the law. So.
But I agree. I mean, I don't think that should have warranted her going to a work prison. That she's, I don't know. It just sounds rough. And a Russian prison, no thanks. But they negotiated her release, and
good. Who was it?
They let out
somebody who was like
a domestic
petty crime,
terrorist
right?
arms dealer. Yeah. So no, and I saw somebody post the other day like, I don't understand how so many people, specifically Christians and conservatives, are all up in arms because a black woman is now safe. And I was like,
that has nothing to do with.
Hold up. This dude the dude that they swapped for has sold weapons to like massive, quote unquote, weapons of war to terrorist groups all around the world who are raping and killing way more black women. Like, and it's not just like he's just a bad dude all the way around from what I'm reading, obviously.
What was his nickname? It was like the
Merchant of Death.
The Merchant of Death. Yeah. So, I mean,
for a basketball player.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And then there's also this Marine that's still in prison. I don't know what he did. I didn't really read that. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of controversy surrounding it right now. What are your thoughts?
I mean, so first and foremost, any American that is being held in a foreign country, I think should be extradited.
Let's get them back
to the U.S.
Yeah, even if they didn't break a U.S. law.
Because here was I was about to go down that rabbit trail, and then I stopped myself because that means that we would have to extradite any foreign prisoners that are here,
right?
So any terrorists.
So what if an American goes to Russia and commits murder?
What
if a Russian comes to America and commits murder? We're not sending them back.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get it.
Yeah, man, that's tough. Actually, I think maybe there are some cases in some situations like this one specifically where it's like it's a drug charge. And it's not a big drug charge.
Right. It's not like she was selling drugs.
Yeah, I mean that we know of.
I don't think she was.
I haven't read enough into any of this to know.
Just based on what I've read, I don't think she was trying to be a drug dealer. I think it was like she just brought it in for personal
recreational. Yeah. So like we definitely need to try what we can do to get those back.
Sure.
And then on the other side of things, it's like we gave them the Merchant of Death, but it's also like, okay, but like that's an American and she was on trumped up charges. So like what? I guess it all depends. Like, where's your line?
So my line is on now that this dude is out, he's going to go back to doing what he was doing, and it's going to kill way more people.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to kill him? The U.S.
No.
You don't think so?
Nope.
I would think
not the current administration.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
I don't think that.
I guess to a degree, those guys are going to get back in prison at some point. Like that guy's probably going back to prison. There's not a ton of people that I would imagine that are in that deep that they're called the Merchant of Death. That they're like, you know what? I've learned from the American prison system. I'm not going back to that lifestyle.
No, it wasn't about him learning. It was about him staying off the streets and unable to do what he was doing.
Yeah. So. But like what I'm saying is he hasn't been rehabilitized.
Yeah. You also got to look at it from the optics of now they traded a celebrity who, from what I've read, is like anti-America. Like she kneels for the anthem. She talks about how she's so oppressed in America that she gets to play a game for a living.
Yeah.
And like just
those are her rights to be able to say those
absolutely
things.
They are.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should ever be told they can't say those things. But you've got that, and then you've got a Marine veteran who, risked his life to fight for his country over there, and you've got this administration that brought home and this is the optics. I'm not saying this is my opinion, but it looks like they're bringing home somebody who hates America and talks crap about America, who's very privileged, and they're leaving this dude that served his country and loves his country. And it's like, well, hold on, that's kind of backwards. That's one thing that I've seen a lot of people saying. It's definitely, obviously, it's a controversial topic. I'm glad she's home. I don't think anybody should ever have to sit in a Russian prison, especially over something like what she is or what she was charged with. But
so the Marine that is over there, he is retired U.S. Marine Corps veteran, Paul Whelan. It says Whelan's brother said at the time that he was visiting Russia to attend the wedding of a Marine colleague. He was arrested in December of 2018 on espionage charges that the U.S. has said they were false and sentenced to 16 years in prison following his conviction. 2 summers later, ahead of the conviction, Whelan was hospitalized and underwent an emergency hernia surgery, his brother said. Whelan, now 52, is an American national who holds citizenship in Canada, where he was born, the United Kingdom, and Ireland. He was accused by Russian prosecutors for working for U.S. intelligence. They claimed before court in Moscow that he had been caught red-handed receiving a flash drive that contained classified information during his trip abroad, maintaining his innocence throughout the legal proceedings and arguing that he had been framed. Whelan has said Whelan and his defense team declined to appeal the conviction, saying that they hoped this freedom would be secured by way of a prisoner swap between the U.S. and Russia. It's been nearly 4 years since Whelan was initially in prison and has since been transferred to multiple detention centers across Russia, including the famous Soviet-era Leftovo prison and remote penal colony, where he is currently serving his sentence. Yeah. So
basically, dude was accused of spying, essentially.
Yeah.
And even if he was doing spy work for the U.S., go get him. If he wasn't, then go get him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I guess to a degree, I mean, if he was doing spy work, that's kind of like one of those things that you know is a possibility. I'm not saying that he was doing spy work.
Right.
Obviously not. I don't know everything that I just found out about this guy was...
You read online, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's say he was doing spy work. Doesn't that sound like more of an even trade for the merchant of death?
Yeah, and so it seems like that. So in April, Trevor Reed, also a Marine Corps veteran, was freed from Russian custody in exchange for a Russian pilot and convicted drug smuggler previously detained in the U.S. Joe Biden says we have not forgot about Paul Whelan in remarks about Greiner's release Thursday, adding that the U.S. officials will never give up on efforts to secure his release. So I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one because it's also so. Let's wheel it back a little bit. If we caught a Russian spy in the U.S.,
we did. The merchant of death.
Yeah, we did. Do we want him to be freed?
No.
Okay, so like the Russian, I mean, and like
if we're not gonna free him, if we're not gonna free Paul Whelan, why are we freeing this dude?
I mean,
either we do or we don't. Like, if it's a 1-for-1,
I'm sure it's very like murky. I don't want to be the guy,
but no, we don't want to release their spy, but we don't want them having ours either.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if we're gonna give up one of theirs, we had better get one of ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, I see it. That's a murky. Like I said, I don't want to be the guy who's in charge of that stuff.
Yeah,
because that seems like a very like. That guy probably gets fired a lot.
I mean, I'm also ignorant when it comes to all this, but I feel like we're America. Let's go get him. Like, go get him and tell them, stop us. Please try to stop us. I think it's so much more powerful than them.
I think that would be really easy in a country like Syria.
Sure. And
Or
I'm also
Iran.
like pie in the sky, and I know I don't know all the facts, and all. I'm not ignorant to
Yeah, I mean they've
my
got
ignorance.
like they could push that button real quick,
right.
And,
So could we though.
yeah, we could, but like,
then
do
we're
we want to
all-
start that?
But then we all wake up in heaven.
Yeah, I guess some of us, not all of us.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's man. I don't know. I mean, what was the meme that you said earlier?
Let me find it. It was basically like, well, I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah,
It said, "This is the first time anyone has been aware of a WNBA trade."
I mean,
What team does she play for?
Seattle. I don't know.
I don't know. Nobody knows.
I could, but so
Joe Biden doesn't know.
in fairness, I don't know what anybody plays for.
Yeah.
So like that, probably not the right guy to ask.
I don't think anybody
That's
knows
like
who she plays
asking me who LeBron plays for. I have no idea. The Suns, is that even a team still? No clue. Don't know. Speaking of sticky situations, I was thinking about this the other day. Kids nowadays,
Kids these days.
they will never know what this feels like. And this was like, to me, one of the most awkward situations on the planet. Calling a friend's house.
Oh, it was the worst.
Especially like a girl's house.
Uh-huh.
You got to talk to their dad on the phone, and you're like 12.
Oh, it was awful.
Just like, Mr. Adams, is your daughter home? Like,
so bad. So I was for like a couple months dated this girl, and this was cell phones were out. Like we had cell phones, but service wasn't super great, and so I tried to call. Like we were talking on cell phone at like 10:30 at night.
yeah.
And one of us lost service, whatever. So I picked up my house phone to call her house phone,
What time was it?
and she texted me and was like, "Hey, call my house phone." And so I'm thinking she's got her hand on it, ready to pick it up. Her dad answers, and I hang up because I freak out. I'm like, I don't know. He calls back, and he says, "Derek, I don't want you calling my house this late. Do you understand me, son?" "Yes, sir. I'm sorry."
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yep. Oh, it was the worst. And I'm like, oh, I feel weird. Just
Think that was probably, if we, you talk about kids these days not having like respect and stuff. That was probably like one of the biggest, like, I mean, we learned respect through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like how proper you got when you called on the phone.
Absolutely.
Like you could be like, hey, buddy, what's up? And then it's like, hello, Mr.
yeah, absolutely.
How are you today,
You
sir?
respect it.
This is Joshua Julian. I am calling to see if your daughter is home.
And you know what that makes me think about too is like I've noticed, how when we grew up, it was always Mr. Jones, Mr. Adams, Mr. Whatever. Now it's like Mr. Josh or Mr. It's like Mr. First name, not Mr. Last name.
Yeah.
And I've and I'm guilty of doing that with my kids too. I'm like, and I don't really know why I do it that way, but I don't know anybody that calls Mr.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's because this is just a spitball. I probably didn't know what the girl's dad's name was, but I probably knew what her last name was.
sure.
But
Like even your next door
now-
neighbors,
Yeah.
like you called them Mr. and Ms. whatever.
Yeah.
Last name.
Smith or
Yeah.
yeah.
But now it's all like my kids call
Mr. Derek
all of my
and
friends
yeah.
Mr. or Miss whatever. And that was crazy. That's just
Yeah, man. But like just like get your heartbeat
Oh my
fluttering real
gosh.
quick. Just you call the phone and then like somebody picks up and you're just like,
oh crap.
hello.
Do you still remember any of your friends' phone numbers from when you were growing up?
0770. I think that was Spud. You remember Spud?
I don't think so.
Okay. He
Is
was
that
our
the dog on
drummer.
Rocco's Modern Life?
No, I don't know. He was our drummer in Lion's Head. I remember my phone number growing
I
up.
don't remember mine.
I do. 334-289-3178.
Yeah, I don't remember mine.
We'd go to the skating rink here in town in Tuscaloosa.
Super skate.
Super skate. And they had payphones and we would dial 1-800 and then we would dial our number.
We'll do a collect.
Yeah, collect call. But we would do 1-800-289-3178. And I called that number so many. I have no idea what they did, but I called that number so many times as a kid just to be like, just to see what it, just to, because I could pick up a phone and just dial a number and then, oh, somebody's on the other end. I did it so much at Super Skate that that company actually called Super Skate back, and then they announced it over the intercom, like, whoever keeps calling this number, please stop.
That's hilarious.
Because, I mean, now, you know.
So you didn't call collect. You called.
No, I called 1-800
your
my
phone
number. Yeah.
That's funny. Who was it?
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I don't remember.
You should call him.
I should. Be like, hey, you remember? This is Josh.
You remember 17 years ago?
7 years
I don't know,
ago.
yeah.
Jeez. I wish 7 years ago. That's another thing I was thinking about the other day. Did you ever? And I got this off of the movie The Work. Mm-hmm. I was watching the movie and the guy, one of the guys was talking about how he's like, when you look in the mirror, you still see yourself as a kid. Like you still see yourself like you as a kid. Like when you look, and not like physically, but like emotionally, mentally, like when you're looking into the mirror, you're the same kid. Do you remember do you remember the moment when you looked in the mirror and you're like, oh, God, I am an adult, or I am a grown up? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that? I remember looking in the mirror a lot and being like, I'm not an adult yet.
I remember when I first moved out on my own and got my first place.
Yeah.
I remember like looking in the mirror and being like, okay.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to screw this up, but
there's a lot of that.
Here it goes.
Still don't know what I'm doing.
But I think that too, and that's part of what Intentional Father talks about is creating that moment when your son goes from a boy to a man.
Yeah.
And how so many, almost every culture on earth except ours, has a time where a boy becomes a man. Mm-hmm. And like, so for the Jewish culture, that's bar mitzvah. Mm-hmm. You know, African tribes have it where they go out and do a 24-hour solo out in the middle of the woods or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, different things, different cultures have different things, but there's always that event where you are going from a boy to a man.
But we don't have that.
We don't have that. And so I think that's
a lot of boys looking,
how
do I become a man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I think there's so many, and I think our culture is has gotten so non-confrontational, trying to be non-confrontational. Men have been trying to be non-confrontational that there's so many non-answers. It's like, okay, yeah, well, are you a man? Okay, well, sure. Yeah. But it's like, hold up, no, like you got to have that defining moment of where, yes, this is the day that I became a man. And I may not have, like, I didn't have all the attributes of a man on that day. It's like nothing physically changed from one day to the next, but like, that's the day that it was put in my mind that, hey, you're not a boy anymore. You're a man now. Now you have to learn how to become a man.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what's great about Intentional Father is that it really kind of lays out that pathway of how to actually do that with your son.
Yeah. Well, and two, this is one of the big takeaways that I had. It was like we're all just little boys looking for love. Like that's our biggest, like we're all still that little kid looking for somebody to love us, looking for that acceptance, including our fathers. Yeah. And it's like, when have you ever thought about your father as a little boy who's just looking for love? Like that's all he's doing too. He's not out there, like he doesn't have it figured out.
Right.
He doesn't have that like solidified, like I am who I am. He's still that little boy looking for love. And it was like,
yeah.
Well, there's a lot more grace needs to be given then.
That's right.
Because like, you hold these men in your life to this high standard. And it's crazy because we, like our generation, or there's a lot of our generation that complain about like men are held to this, like we always have to have it put together. We always have to do this. We always have to do that. We're putting that same expectation on our fathers. Like that, we've been doing that our whole life where we're like, I expected you to be like this, or I expect you still to do X, Y, and Z. I expected you to be all these things. And like, so we're putting these expectations, and some of them are rightly given too. I mean, to expect your father to be there for you is an expectation that they should meet. Yeah. But I don't know.
So how do we change that?
We be that man.
Yeah.
And that's oh gosh. I wish I had the freaking book in front of me. I think it's in my backpack. Look in that front. Oh, it's in the big pocket for sure. Man, this was like the quote, man, in the second chapter where they talk about like all the different fathers. So this is a quote from T. Real. I don't know who that is, but boys do not long for their fathers who will usher them through the gauntlet of physiological disconnect. They long for fathers who have themselves survived intact. Boys do not ache for their father's masculinity. They ache for their father's heart. And like that hit
That's
me
good.
pretty hard. It's like they don't want someone who's going to usher them through the physiological disconnect. They want fathers who have already done it. Mm-hmm. And then they don't want your masculinity. Mm-hmm. They don't want you to show them how masculine you are.
Right.
They want your heart.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that's freaking, that's real.
That's huge.
You know, because like, and another thing, me and some buddies are going through this, like I said, in the first chapter, there's a question that says, what comes to your mind when you hear the word masculinity? What are some key moments in your life that forged you as a man who you are today? What can you learn from them? How can you prepare to pass them on? And then in none of that did it say, what was your dad like? But every single person, when we answered that question, talked about our dads.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's like, how important is it now? Like, that's because our sons one day are going to look back and they're going to go, what do I need to do as a man? Or like, what is masculinity to me?
Right.
And their answer's probably going to be us. Mm-hmm. And so what did we do to prepare them for that?
Yeah.
What did we do to pass that masculinity on to them? Or like, what version of masculinity did we create? Did we create a toxic environment?
Right.
Did we create a Me Too environment? Did we create an environment where you respect women? Mm-hmm. Did we create an environment where my phone's more important than you? What are we instilling in our kids now? And man, that got me, because it's a lot of these guys in the documentary The Work. They talk about, there was this one kid. He's probably late 20s, early 30s. He actually looks like me, which was like weird. But he was like, there's all these other guys that are talking about how, they had sexual assault backgrounds. They had this, they had that. I'm trying to break myself of this. And the guy was like, I feel like the thing that I have to say is not important because of everything that everybody else has said. Mm-hmm. But like, he was like, my one like transgression or like that I have is, when I was a little kid, my dad, I would go out, he would work on cars, and I would go out there and help my dad a lot. And one day he asked me if I could get him a tool, and like I went and I didn't know what it was, and I kept looking for it, and I'd bring something back and it wasn't right. And then I kept going back and kept looking for it and kept bringing something. And he was like, I'll just do it myself. You go back inside with your mother. And he was like, that wrecked me.
Yeah.
He was like, because one day I stopped going out there.
Wow.
I stopped wanting to be around my dad. He was like, I want to be around my dad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how many times have there been situations like that I've put Jason through? Mm-hmm. When it's like, in my mind, I'm just frustrated.
Yeah.
Whatever. But like, I still just like push it to the side. I'm like, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, and just go to, and like, what is that doing to him? Mm-hmm. And I try to now, if there are situations like that, I am always apologetic.
Yeah.
I will always go back to him and go, look, buddy, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have did that. Dad let his emotions get in the way. All that stuff. Like, I want him to know that like he doesn't have to go through life not apologizing for like that.
That's
he can
huge.
just do whatever he wants to people.
Yeah, that's huge.
And make them feel however he wants to make them feel. But yeah, that was like,
That's huge.
yeah.
That's huge. And that's something that Danielle and I were talking about. The when you raise kids, you don't raise them to do what, like, they're going to turn out the way you are.
Yeah.
But they're going to do what you do, not what you say, regardless of what you say. So if you want your kids to turn out a certain way, you need to be that certain way.
Yeah.
And that's going to take a lot of work on my part of, like, I got a lot of stuff to work on.
Being intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but you talk about apologizing. Like last night, so Addie, my 5-year-old or 6-year-old now daughter, and Henry, our 2-year-old boy, they love to wrestle on the ground and she's bigger. And so she'll and she's a little more clingy. Like she's very affectionate. Yeah. So she'll hug him and go to the ground with him.
Yeah.
And sometimes he likes it, sometimes he doesn't. Anyway, they were playing. And I thought she was dragging him to the ground when he wasn't wanting to. I misread the situation, and so I yelled at her. And I was like, but I was like, Addie, stop.
Yeah.
And she got upset, started crying, and I was like, and I look over and Henry's laughing, and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And so I went over and I was like, hey baby, I'm sorry. I didn't realize what was going on there, and I shouldn't have acted that way. And I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And I'm doing that because I want her to know that, hey, first off, I need to apologize.
Yeah.
She needs to apologize when she does something wrong, but also that I want her to expect that when she gets married, that her husband will apologize when he's wrong too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what,
because you're setting her up
exactly,
to have those intentions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the likelihood that she's going to marry somebody like me is pretty high. And so I want to make sure that I show her, hey, these are the qualities that you need to look for in a husband. And if you see a boy that doesn't have those qualities, he ain't it. Don't settle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I say that, I don't want that to sound like I've got it all figured out and I'm the perfect husband, because I'm absolutely not. But
well, you screwed up.
Right.
I mean,
I did.
This isn't I mean, it is a redeeming story, but it's also a real story that's no, I effed up. I did something wrong.
Right.
And I don't.
But it's about being able to acknowledge that, admit that, and then correct course.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. And it's, one of the things that I'm learning throughout this book is when through the discussion that we're having within our group is you're either figuring out the good qualities that you saw in whatever man that was in your life and you're trying to replicate those, or you're seeing exactly what went wrong and you are fighting to avoid those things.
Right.
And you see yourself slipping into that sometimes, into those negative qualities.
Right.
And you hate it. You absolutely, when I lose my temper or when I get upset, I see it, I hate it. There's been times where, and I wouldn't say that I've done anything extremely detrimental as far as letting my emotions go. But there have definitely been times where I misread the situation. I misread what was happening. And after I got onto him, I felt so bad.
Yeah.
It was I would lay in bed and just be talking to Meg, I definitely man, I effed up today.
Yeah.
I'm never going to do that again. I never want to do that again. And it's, man, I definitely think if anybody has sons, they need to go through the intentional father, and figure out some of that stuff. Yeah. Cause it's too important. And this is one thing that I've talked about in a group before is as much time day to day as I feel like I have, I'm also looking at the time that's gone by and I'm I don't have that much time. Right. We got Jason when he was 5 and he's 8 now. There's been so much time that's passed between those two things, and it's what did I mess up? My thought is, what did I mess up in those 3 years? Right. What did I not do? What did I not do that I should have done? And sometimes you're seeing the implications of it now, where you're man, I should have been more intentional about this, or I should have done this.
I see that with Caden too. he's 10 now, and there's things that I'm like, dang, like,
Yeah.
have I missed the window? And no is the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
it's
haven't.
never too late.
No.
Yeah.
And I've always been there for Caden. Like, it's not like I haven't been
Yeah.
there for him, but it's like, what are some things that I wish I would have taught him that I haven't yet?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's,
Yeah.
If anybody's listening and wants to check out the book, it's called The Intentional Father. And then it's a practical guide to raise sons of courage and character. It's by John Tyson, Jontyson. So
Yeah.
great book. You can get it on Amazon.
Really
Probably get
good
it at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
You can definitely get it on Audible because
Yep.
that's where I've listened to most
Yeah,
of it.
me too.
I'll listen to it and then I'll go back and I'll read through the questions and some of the intentional stuff, and then like really like read over it and read through it. So
Yeah. But if you get the book, if anybody gets the book and you start going through it, let us know. We'd love to hear some feedback.
Absolutely. I would love to. I mean, I'd love to hear that because I mean, this podcast is all about the stuff that we think is interesting and that we think is cool, and so if you like this, an episode could easily turn into feedback about the book that we've heard from people or ideas that people have about raising their kids and stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yep. Awesome. Well, man, you got anything else?
I guess that's it, man.
Awesome.
We've got two things that have been on that thing for like 3 weeks now.
We'll push them back.
We'll get to them.
We'll get to them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for listening. If y'all have any comments or anything you want us to talk about in the future, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
We'd love to hear it. But y'all
Message us on Instagram or something. I'm sure.
YouTube or text us.
Yeah.
Most of you probably have our numbers.
Yeah. If you don't have our numbers, then just ask us.
Yeah.
There's
Awesome.
yeah.
Sweet. Y'all have a good week.
Yep.